Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T. from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Well, it's good to be back with you here. The Brown Beauty is back on duty, live in studio here at thepowerofvoices.com. Hey, we've got a great show lined up for you. Just a couple of programming changes. We were going to have Jerry Salas in today from El Chicano, but we pushed him off till Thursday. He's got some things going on, and we just couldn't coordinate it here. El Chicano, yes, tell her she's lovely. Oh, we're going to get some Latin rock sound in here on Thursday from 5 to 6. Also, tomorrow, since all the politicians now here in California are running in their runoffs for November, we're going to have for District 23 for the Congress, going up against Tony Cardenas, Republican Bernie Bernal is going to be in here talking about the issues tomorrow here on the Jesse T. Show. We're working on John Cox, and then we're going to get another gentleman, Ricardo Benitez, and he's going for District 39 in the Assembly District here for the state of California. So then we're going to move on to hopefully get Tony Cardenas in, and maybe, just maybe, we might get Gruesome Newsom in, and we can get him down here and talk about that and some other lefties, because we want to make sure that we get everybody's point of view in here on the Jesse T. Show. Good to have you along with me. The Brown Beauty is back on duty with you. Wow, what a beautiful day here in Southern California as I adjust some cameras here on Instagram over here, Instagram Live at Jesse Terrero. Also, got to say hello to our friends here on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. All right, facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. We are broadcasting also out on Tumblr and Twitter and LinkedIn and Periscope and several other places, as we always try to bounce our signal all around the world and across America on radio, online, and terrestrial, and everywhere we can get into, we're getting into a little mischief here and there, of course. Hey, it's good to be chatting with you, and I appreciate all the nice shares and likes and comments, and I also appreciate some of the comments you say when you don't agree with me, and that's okay with me too. Not everybody agrees with me. I'm going to have a hard time, though, today, because I left my other glasses in the car, so I'm going to be doing a lot of straining like this. Oh, yes, I'm going to be doing, I look like Mickey Rooney from a movie he played, a Chinese guy, way back in the 1940s, you know, or maybe I look like Peter Sellers in one of his movies that he did, the I Spy, you know, he played the secret agent Clouseau. Okay, and I just dropped this camera over here, so we'll bring that up there and reach down. Yes, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, you get to see everything that happens on my show. You know that. I don't pull any punches, just things happen, and I fix them as I go. All right, so let's kind of get into what we're talking about here today. Obviously, I want to talk about what went on in North Korea, and with North Korea, that is, in Singapore. Oh, my goodness gracious. And I'm going to give you my point of view as to why things seem to be going so well there in that respect, okay? So we're going to try to look at that from a little different angle. Yeah, well, you know, I always have. This thing just keeps falling down. This thing here keeps falling down on me. And so let's twist it around and try it this way. As one more time, I'm going to get this one set up. And if it falls down again, that's it. That's it. In fact, you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to fix this real fast. I got to get a new stand. So we're going to do it like this. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Fixed. Just like that. Where there's always a way, there's a solution. That's what I always say. There's never a challenge or issue or problem. I like to call them challenges that you can't get by if you just keep an open mind and have a solution. And boy, didn't Donald Trump, President Trump, have solutions for these last couple of days, starting with the G7 and then moving on into Singapore. Have you guys ever been to Singapore? Singapore is absolutely a beautiful place. I mean, they have one of the most modern cities that you can possibly imagine. It is so modern and beautiful. I haven't been to Singapore in about 15 to 18 years, but wow, it sure even looks more built up than what it was when I was there last time. And the Singapore people are just tremendous. They have a great economy going on there, and the city is so clean, and the people are so genuine and so nice. The food's pretty good too, except when they start eating octopus and all that kind of stuff. They do love the ocean type of food there in Singapore. I just can't eat that kind of stuff. My stuff's got to be cooked on the plate, not wiggling as I'm swallowing it. You know what I'm saying? But Singapore is a terrific place. It's a hot mecca of nightclubs and casinos, and it's a hot mecca of great places to eat and business and commerce. It's basically one of the most wealthy nations there in the Asian area, the Pan-Asian area. There in the other side of the Pacific Ocean. So it is really, really something. What a great selection that was. The hotel is pretty sharp looking too. So I stayed up and I watched the whole festivities when Kim Young Ying showed up. I'm just going to call him Kim because I always blow his last name terribly. When Kim showed up, I stayed up and watched all that. And of course, I watched, when our great president Donald Trump showed up, and that was terrific to watch. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. And, of course, just in review, nothing you don't know happened there. They had that little signing at the end. They went into some negotiations and all that cool stuff. I mean, what a great thing. Think about this historically, though, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it for a second. It really doesn't matter whether you are for Donald Trump or you are not for Donald Trump. You've got to be for the ending of nuclear proliferation. You've got to be for the shutting down and destroying of nukes on this planet in any way that we can get rid of them, because that is a very terrible, terrible thing for some countries to have those types of things. In fact, Russia has them, and we're always very concerned about that. But that mutual assured destruction just doesn't seem to be, won't work in the future, and I predict. So we've got to do something about getting rid of this and not letting nations that might be a little wacky, might be a little crazy, might be just hating America to get these nukes. We can't have that happen. We just cannot. It's just that simple. There is no if, and, or but. Whether it means we have military attacks and military strikes to take out their nukes, or we do it through negotiations or whatnot, we cannot have them have nukes. Nobody should have more nukes than what there are nukes in the world right now. There's already too many of them. So when rogue nations like this, Iran and North Korea, have the ability to have nuclear bomb technology and then can launch it and hit somewhere, certainly Japan. When you talk about North Korea, it can hit Japan and can also hit Seoul, Korea. May not be able to hit America, but maybe Hawaii. When you have that, we've got to do something about it. And for 70 years, well, since the end of World War II, and since, of course, the end of the Korean War in the mid-1950s, for a good 50 years, no president has had the huevos to do anything about it. That's right. No president has had the guts, the chutzpah, the balls to do anything about it. They've all placated to this bend over type of diplomacy. Give them some money. Maybe they won't destroy us. Maybe they'll stop making these bombs. Well, none of that has worked. It did not work with Kim's grandfather, and it did not work with his father. And it certainly has not worked with Kim when Obama was president. And it's just not his fault. He just was part of the system that allowed him to continue creating these weapons of true mass destruction. And so Obama, and before Obama, it was, of course, the Bushies, the Bush 2, and then Clinton, and then Bush 1, and even Reagan didn't really do too much to offset that either. And we go all the way back. If we go backwards, we go to Carter, didn't do anything. We go back to Gerald R. Ford, didn't do anything. Go back to Nixon, and we go back to LBJ, and we go back to JFK, who probably and may have done something, but they whacked him out before he could do anything. And then we go back to Eisenhower, because it was under Eisenhower's time that the Korean War started. When you think about this type of history and the amount of decades and time that has clicked off the clock, and this country has gotten more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous to the point that they were able to shoot off ICBM missiles. Maybe they may not have been sophisticated and couldn't hit anything, but they could shoot them off, and eventually they were going to be able to hit something and would have then a bargaining chip that would have been something that you wouldn't want them to have. And just what if the crazy guy got whacked in his own nation? What if he got assassinated in his own nation? That's not far-fetched to happen. I mean, there's a lot of people in his own country that don't like him. And so now you got a country that has nuclear weaponry that could hit Hawaii, or maybe hit California, or hit Alaska, or hit something like, or hit the western side of Canada. So we had to do something there. And it's so terrific that Donald Trump came out and said basically during his whole campaign, I'm going to do something about it. The one thing about this guy, whether you agree with him or you don't, he is living up to the promises that he said on his campaign. And if you ever have the opportunity, you ought to read the guy's book, Art of the Deal, because it is basically a verbatim. It is a Bible of how he is running his presidency and how his mind thinks. It really is amazing. He's a really observant guy. He has the ability to observe things. I guess when you grow up in New York, dealing with the mafia, dealing with the corrupt politicians in New York, dealing with all the labor unions, and dealing with all that stuff, having to build these sky rises and having to move through the political juggernaut of that state, you learn some tricks to the trade, and not only that, internationally as a real estate developer. I mean, there's a reason why that I think Kim said, something, I got to make some changes here. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Nobody has really addressed this topic matter that I'm about to get into for Kim, and what makes it so important for him to all of a sudden switch gears and go a completely different direction. A lot of people, or the pundits, are saying, of course, that is because we had our flotilla of beautiful Navy ships floating through the South China Sea on several occasions. We were going to do a whole bunch of practice war games in the South China Sea and the Pacific Ocean. A lot of people say it was the negotiations with the Chinese president. Basically, he's just a dictator for life now. That Trump and he have just a great relationship. Well, they should have some sort of relationship, guys, because a lot of our products come out of China and they have a trade deficit with us, which is unbelievable. Do you know a Buick? A Buick. It's just your typical best Buick on the road right now. When it goes to China, it's like 4 times the amount of money or 5 times the amount of money it costs to buy that same Buick than it would be here in California. Now, there's an injustice there. It's just simple. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the tariffs and the situation with the G7 and give you my slant on it here in just a few here as we address this first, though, because this is really, really a monumental thing. Historically, this is something that no president has ever done in the history of America, and that is meet a tyrant like this who has nuclear weapons and was threatening to use them, and he actually met him and got got some sort of movement towards peace, which is unbelievable, really. Obama didn't do it. Obama just gave him a lot of money and tried to control and work from behind the scenes, behind the lines. I think that's a peace from behind or something like that. Certainly, I'm glad it wasn't my behind. And the Bushes didn't do it. They didn't do anything. They just paid him more money. Clinton didn't do it. They just paid him billions and billions of dollars, his daddy. Okay, and Bush 1 did the same thing, and not even Reagan really did anything about it. But Donald Trump did. He seized the moment, irrespective of what the pundits were saying, and everybody was saying, whether it's Republican or Democratic. You see, I've always come from the point of view that Donald Trump is neither. He's not a Republican conservative, and he's not a lefty DNC. Okay, he's not those. He's not a liberal. He's not any of that. He's an independent. He utilized the vacuum in the Republican Party to be able to win the presidency, because no independent will ever win the presidency in the United States of America ever, period, end quote. It just won't happen. The powers to be, the banking, elite pharmaceuticals, industries, the economics, the other corrupt government entities, they just won't allow it. The elite globalists of the planet just won't allow an independent. This is a two-party system because essentially it's a one-party system in this country. We have an illusion of two parties. It's really just one party. And what they do is they pit the common people, you and me, against each other because we think there's a two-party system going on. There isn't, because when they all get to Washington, D.C., behind the Beltway, they do damn well what they want with your money. Not their money, your money. That's right. They become multi-millionaires with your money by inside trading and all that stuff. And these are other issues we can talk about, that what goes on in the behind the door, closed door action of Washington, D.C. We know there are a bunch of perverted deviants there. We know they get busted all the time for stuff. But, what goes on economically and financially for their own selves, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about any of us. They care about themselves. They don't even care about this country. If they did, they would have done something about this little rocket boy 50 years ago, which they could have done. Dennis Rodman was crying on TV on CNN. And he was really upset because he was upset the fact that, he had death threats when he came back, because he was the only guy that went to Pyongyang and made a friend of Kim and tried to be a liaison to peace and open up a dialogue. And everybody thought he was a traitor. And I even said, what's this guy doing? I didn't call him a traitor, but I said, what's he doing? It was just, what's this crazy guy doing with that crazy guy? Okay, all right, well, all right. But, he said it eloquently last night on CNN when they asked him, hey, I went to Obama. Obama wasn't willing to do anything. He just cast me out to the side. Just said no. Well, of course, no, because the globalists and the elitists, which rule the government, wouldn't allow that to happen. They like the status quo. A lot of money to be made in war. A lot of money to be made in war. And they like the status quo. They don't care about whether your son or daughter is killed. They don't care about whether the people in Seoul, Korea are murdered by nuclear weapons. They don't care about what happens in North Korea. They care about the almighty dollar, which gives them more power and control over people on the planet Earth. That's all they care about. Pawns on a chessboard, really. And so Obama just kicked him out, didn't even bother with him. See, that's the thing about Trump that you got to understand. Trump is an outsider. He's an outsider. He's not a conservative, and he's not a liberal. He's an outsider. He's a free-thinking guy. Now, you may not like the way he thinks, and you may not like the way he talks. Hey, he's not the most eloquent guy, but then the most eloquent guys have never been able to get it done, have they? All these smarty pants attorneys that became presidents aren't able to get it done, are they? No, and all these other guys weren't able to, these professional politicians were, with the language and all the diplomacy and all this, and John Kerry, right. They weren't able to get anything done, were they? No, because you see, they live in a bubble. They live in a vacuum that you and I are not privy to or a part of. And the better you understand that, the better you might be able to understand Donald Trump or a guy like him or a woman like him. Okay? He comes in there. He's successful. What do you think? He's worth $10 billion or you think he's worth $10 million? That's $10 million more than you're worth. I guarantee you that much, unless I'm talking to somebody who's worth $25 million on the phone here or on the station. Okay? For the most part, whatever he is, he's a lot richer than most Americans. And he did it his way. Whether you like what his way was or didn't like what his way was, I don't know how many of you are worth $50 million, if that's all you think he's worth. I don't really care what he's worth. I don't care whether he's worth $10 billion or he's worth $100 million or he's worth $300,000. Doesn't make any difference to me. Okay? Makes no difference to me what he's worth. What makes a difference to me is he's laying down some sand, baby. He's laying down some land. He's laying down the anvil. Right? He says he's going to do something on taxes. He did it. He said he's going to do something about that stupid Obamacare. He did it. He said he's doing something about the wall. They're doing it. slowly but surely. He said he's going to do something about our economy and getting jobs back. He's done it. Okay? He said he's going to double the income of America. He has. He said he's going to put everybody back to work. It's happening. There are more jobs right now than there are people to fill them in the United States of America, and that has never happened in our lifetimes and has never happened in the last 200 years. Okay? As long as they've been keeping records of that stuff. Okay? Now he says he's going to go fix this North Korean problem, and he did. Took it upon himself, made it happen, despite what anybody said. Because, he don't care about the liberals, the lefties. He doesn't care about the righties, the conservatives. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care one way or the other. He cares about making a business decision on everything that comes across his desk. And he's just living up to the promises that we voted him for. Half of America voted for him. And finally, the other half of America is starting to say now, you can't deny facts. You can't deny facts. Cold, hard truth. You can't deny it. Unemployment the lowest it's ever been for African Americans, for Latinos, for women. More jobs than there are people to fill them. Exploding stock exchange. Companies coming back to America, hiring. Wages going up. Debt going down. People buying more houses. People investing in more cars, more consumerism. People feeling good about their possibilities. You can't deny these things. He fixed the VA at least best he could so far. Went in there and fired like 1,000 people. With the bureaucracy of the VA. It was one of the first things he did. It's not done yet, but it's a start. It's a start. See, this is what you got to understand. This guy's shaking the trees, man. And that's what he did in Singapore. Now, my take on it is this. Why would Kim do anything? Think about it. Why would he do anything? Why would he play games and lie and cheat? Why would he do that? Why would he not do that? Why would he go through this whole pomp and ceremony and circumstance for what? To put him on the international scene, give him some respect, some R-E-S-P-E-C-T, Aretha Franklin style? Is that what he would do? Come on. He doesn't need any of that. He's a king in his country. Third generation. There's nobody that fights him. Okay? He's got all the ladies he wants. He's got all the things he wants. The best food, the best clothes. He's got all the power and control that he wants. He whacks out anybody in his country he doesn't like at any time, given night or day, whether they're close to him or not. What does he need America for? He's pals with China to some degree. What does he need America for? Why would he even show up in Singapore? Because he's afraid that America will blow him off the face of the planet Earth if he ever uses his nukes against us? No. He doesn't worry about that. No. Because his people are starving? If he worried about that, he would have worried about that a long time ago. Doesn't matter to him. Because there's revolt and anarchy going on in his country? Maybe so. We don't know for sure. What does he care about? He's got nukes. Well, think about it for a second. Because this is what your president saw, in my opinion. How old is Kim? 38? Maybe. We don't know exactly how old he is. Some people are saying mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s. Hey, by the way, did you hear how deep his voice is? I thought I was like on a pinball game in an old pinball place. Man, that boy had a deep voice. Man, he was making the woofers go prum, prum, prum. And that's one of the rare times anybody's ever heard him. Is that an amazing thing? It's one of the rare times. Certainly us out here in the world haven't heard much of what he sounds like. Why? What did Trump see for the timing? See, everything in life is timing. Everything in life is timing. It doesn't necessarily mean how good you are or what you know or what you can do or even who you know. Is the timing right? Timing is something that you can't develop, create, control, or direct. Timing just happens. But can you move to it quickly? That's the key. Do you want to move to it quickly? That's the key. Do you have the guts to throw the risk and move to it quickly? This was a big risk for President Trump. Because if he failed at all, that would be it. This is a big risk for him in terms of his career as president for the next 6 years. So he just threw it against the wall because the timing was right. You got a 38-year-old guy. He's got a wife. I don't think that means much to him. He's got a harem, too, of like 150 or 200 young ladies, concubines. So I don't think that means much to him. But think about it. What was the first thing he did after he got into Singapore? That night, he took his entourage out. It was like P. Diddy showing up at a nightclub with 1,000 bodyguards. He went to nightclub. He did some clubbing, man. He went to some of the best clubs and the best restaurants in town. Huh. Did President Trump do that? No. But he did. He's a young guy. Put two and two together, ladies and gentlemen. He's a young guy. Why would he even make a change in his demeanor toward his country? Why? He controls them with an iron fist. He makes Hitler look silly. Why would he even bother? Because he's scared of China? Because China brought the boy home and gave him a whipping with a piece of black oak twitch from a black oak tree? Like I used to get from my mama? Why? Simple, really. He's a young guy. He's 38. The dude is tired of living like his father. The dude is tired like living like his grandfather. The dude wants to go out and be a young man in the world, on the scene. The dude's afraid of his own people, about getting whacked and assassinated by his own upper generals. The dude wants to be a dude surfing, man, in Malibu. He's 38 years old. Simple. He wants to be revered as a god king in his country. If he can change the direction economically of his country just a little bit, maybe 25%, you're talking about millions of people that starve, that have no health care. Millions of people that are out of work, have no source of income. Millions of people that have no running water, that live in dark. Do yourself this favor. go on Google Earth one night and pass by, or you could probably Google this up, the satellites that pass over that part of the world. All of a sudden, when they pass over South Korea, they come from Japan over South Korea, right? Pyongyang, and then the rest of North Korea is dark at night. Absolutely pitch black. You got Russia up above, China over on the left side or the west side, and you got Pyongyang right there. Got some lights there, of course, but the rest of the country, where most of the people live, dark, and they got no power. They got no light. They've got no source of income coming into this country except coal. They don't ship anything out. They don't make anything. The only money they get is extorting America. That's really all they get, and that's what they've gotten for the last 3 generations. So why? The dude, man, Kim, he wants to be a God king. Think about this for a second. If he can just bring 25% change to his country economically through some sort of capitalism that he controls as the dictator, king, God. In other words, somebody can go there and buy a Subway sandwich. Someone could go get a McDonald's. Maybe somebody can have a Schwinn bicycle or a Peugeot from France. Maybe, just maybe, they can have some shoes, some Nikes and Adidas. Maybe, just maybe, maybe somebody can be healed by some medicine in the Western world. Maybe their hospitals can stay on all night long and have the fuel and the power to stay on. Just maybe they can get air conditioning and heaters in that cold part of the country, the world, in the wintertime in their schools. Just maybe they can get some Cheerios or maybe some Wheaties. But I wouldn't put Caitlyn Jenner on the friggin' box because I don't know what that is. But just maybe somebody can wear a nice dress and have a selection of 5 dresses instead of having to wear hand-me-downs and stuff you make out of grass. Can you imagine what his people revere him as? Look at our great leader, Kim. Look what he's done. They would be owing to him for generations. And historically in his country, you talk about a legacy, it would be far greater than his pappy or his grandpappy's legacy. Because he's the one that transformed North Korea to be part of the world. He'd be a God king. And then he can have a jet. He doesn't have to borrow 3 jets from China and take him 11 hours to fly to Singapore from Pyongyang, which is only a 3-hour flight on a 747. But he was so freaked out about being assassinated or shot with a missile, he went into China, crisscrossed China a couple times, and then landed in Singapore. Maybe, just maybe, he can go to the Academy Awards in Hollywood and not worry about being assassinated. Maybe he can go to Europe. Because those Europeans, man, they're all screwed up in the head anyway. But those Europeans, man, they'll accept anybody for anything. Why not? They got most of America's money too. Your money. There's a $101 billion trade deficit with the EU. In other words, when we send products there, they tax them and tariff them tremendously. But when they send products to us, we let them in for free. That piggy bank crap's got to stop. Fair game, fair ground, fair trade, open. You got something you can make that's really good, I'll buy it. But you got to give me the right to sell something I make really good in your country so they can buy it. Maybe, just maybe, this guy can go to the Sundance Festival and hang out with Robert Redford. You see, he wants to be that kind of person. He wants that kind of life. He wants the big high-rise townhouse condo on his pristine beaches. That's what he wants. He wants the fast rail system that they have in China. He wants that in his country. He will be revered forever. He will go down in the history books of his nation as the greatest leader ever to come out of North Korea. And that's just if he transformed his country 25%. This is why he ended up in Singapore. Not because he was scared of bombs bursting in the air. He knows we could blow him off the map 50 times over and then 50 times more and 50 times more if we wanted to. We'd pound that dirt into the magma and turn into a giant supervolcano. He knows that. China doesn't want that. Russia doesn't want that. They're happy with their gig. So South Korea doesn't want it, neither does Japan. And we don't want to do that. And he doesn't want it. Because then what is he the ruler of? Nothing. He's the ruler of nothing. So you see, the reality here is this guy's ego, this narcissist, his ego is so huge that he sees himself as a walking friggin' God. I'm telling you. And President Trump tuned right into that. Understood it. Even before. He understood it 20 years ago. In 1999, almost. 20 years ago when he said, we got to deal with North Korea and modernize their country, or we got to take it to them. But why haven't the politicians for the last 5 decades since my father served in Korea, why have they not gotten it? Because they don't want to. Don't you think for 1 minute these billions of dollars that Obama, Clinton, Bush, Reagan, Carter, Gerald Ford, Nixon, over the years sent this country, got some skinny action off of that on the backside? Come on. Come on. Donald Trump isn't even taking a salary. He's donated the last portion of his salary to the VA. You see, Donald Trump understood that in this guy. He said, I know what he wants. So he sends his minions, his lieutenants over there and starts negotiating. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 weeks ago, 3 months ago. He starts negotiating. They start negotiating. Do you think for 1 minute that deal wasn't done before they got there? Do you think they sat in that room and they negotiated? Well, come on. That deal was struck before they got there. And they were throwing shrimp cocktail at each other. This isn't Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. This is the real life. What they signed, they negotiated months ago, a month ago, 3 weeks ago. It was already sitting there ready for them. This was to show the world. This was a showing. It's like when you show a house. It's the same thing. It's no different. You show the house off. You prep it before you show it. Then you bring your buyer through. And they see the house in perfect order. And they write a contract and they buy it. And then they move in. And they figure out that the house is never going to look like what they saw because they can't afford the furniture. Here's the point. He understood something, that this young man wants to be a God king. This young guy wants to travel the world. He doesn't want to be assassinated, and he doesn't want to be the ruler of nothing. He doesn't want to go by way that Gaddafi went. Okay? He doesn't want that. So they got a piece of paper with 4 little items on it. 1, very important, something that no one seems to care about, but the dead people's family does care about it. MIAs and POWs. POWs that died and went MIA. We only got 300 of them back after the Korean War. There's something like 7,000 or 8,000 missing in action. We stopped looking for those people because of safety concerns in 2007 or 2009. So we're going to get all that action coming back. Wow. If you're a family member of somebody who died in Korea, that's important. Imagine how important that would be if it was your family member. So we get to start talking about the commitment that Kim made, that he is going to get rid of all his nukes. He's committed to do that. So now they're going to talk about it. They're going to put that together. It's a lot, man. You got rods, you got nuclear waste, you got all kinds of things that you have to arrange. It's just not going down there and tearing a house down with a D9 cat bulldozer. So there's a lot of stuff that has to be arranged. But this is a start. And that young man, that boy, that guy, that dictator, that crazy nut over there said, yeah, I'm willing to start. What better way to start when 2 parties are willing to start? Because I found in my life of sales, being a real estate broker for 40 years, where there is a will, there's a way, no matter what the problem or challenge might ensue while you're doing the deal, where there's a will, there's a way. If both parties are willing, you will find a way. There's a solution. This is no different. It's a start. And it's the first time we've had a president of the United States of America do something like this. We never did that with Russia. What we told Russia is, you're the evil empire. Tear down the wall, and we just outspend them on Star Wars, and they couldn't keep up with us. And they blew up from the inside. And then, when Gorbachev finally said, that's it, then peace through power, the Reagan doctrine, the Trump doctrine, not peace through appeasement and money and bend over, crack a smile. You don't get peace that way. You get a piece of that way. Something where the sun don't shine. And then Russia blows up, and then we start negotiating the treaties about all of the breakup of the nuclear arms. And what a lousy deal that was, because Russia got to keep 4 times as much as we got to keep. Why has America always got to give everything up? Why do we got to be the piggy bank for the freaking world? Now, that's going to lead me to this G7 stuff in a second. So it's a start. And what a start. What a magnificent start. You cannot deny that. We don't have missiles flying over Japan right now. We don't have missiles dropping in the Pacific Ocean right now. We don't have missiles taking off from the guy's land right now. Gee whiz. That's not half bad. That's because our president was observant. He took the risk and went for the close. This guy's going to get his country revamped, rehabbed, ultimately. Or he's going to go back to North Korea and get himself whacked. See, his biggest problem right now, Kim, is when he goes back home, which he's already there, is he's got to watch out for the people that don't like him in the first place and the people that were poor still in be owing to his father, that might be older and were still in that regime when his father had it. He's got to worry about that more than anything, in my opinion. Because what has just been laid down, anybody with logic or common sense is going to want for themselves. Wouldn't you like to be revered as a God king in your country if you live somewhere? So when you look at this with a real simplistic look, this is really it. Now, there's lots of complicated things that have to be taken care of, obviously, because when you break up nuclear warheads and nuclear fuel and spent fuel and rods and all of that stuff, you got to do a lot of that. You got to have a lot of checking. You got to have a lot of that. But this is a great start. And he comes back with something that's signed. Wow, how terrific could that possibly be? Wow. Did you think that was going to happen? No one I talked to 2 years ago thought that was going to happen. And Donald Trump did it again. You can't deny facts. You can't deny it. You can't deny the country economically is doing better. You can't deny it. It's on his watch. You can't deny it. The first year is the previous president's budget, but the second year is the current president's first budget. You can't deny it. Strength and peace through power. Peace through power. That's how you beat bullies. You call their bluff, and you know that they know that you're willing to take some action. You stop it before it starts. Or end it if it already did. This G7 stuff. Trudeau, gosh, what a meme-mouthed little crybaby that guy is. He meets him like he's his best friend. They're pals and all that stuff. And then the minute Trump leaves and goes to Singapore, he starts talking crap. I mean, really? High school stuff? The guy starts talking crap. He can't talk crap in front of Donald Trump, though, can he? Oh, no, he has to wait for the man to leave. Can you believe that? Let me tell you about this tariff stuff, guys, real fast, because I don't think that a lot of people really understand this tariff stuff. They hear tariff, they hear taxes, they hear, our companies are going to go out of business. They hear all this stuff from the fake news media, but they don't realize something. How long does America have to support God's blue-green earth? How long? How long are you going to support France, Germany, England, Portugal, Spain? How long are you going to support Canada, Mexico, Central America, South America, the African nations? How long are you going to support countries that have tariffs against us? When does it stop? When do you cut the umbilical cord to mommy and daddy? When does it stop? Tariffs are really easy to understand. I got a baseball that I make in my country, and I ship it across the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, and it gets to your country. In this case, I drive it to the Canadian border in a Kenworth 18-wheeler, 53-foot semi-truck. I deliver the baseballs in Canada. The minute I cross the border, though, Canada charges me 238% more for that baseball than what that baseball gets charged my citizens in my country. But when Canada sends their baseball to me, there are no tariffs. Now, I just don't know if you understand that. How unfair and wrong that is. You send a Buick LeSabre to China. It costs like 5 to 10 times more than it would be if you bought it in Oklahoma because of the tariffs. So in other words, what happens is these companies, to get away from being taxed, they move their corporations and assembly plants to the country that they're doing business with. And China having 2 billion people, you want to do business with China so they don't get taxed. And so now that LeSabre, instead of selling for 5 to 10 times more, it only sells for 2 times more. What does that do? That takes jobs out of America. That takes your job away. Your $80 an hour assembly line UAW job away. Gone. Goodbye. See you later. C'est la vie. There's no coming back. The company is all about the bottom line. Don't ever think the company is about you. It isn't. It's about the bottom line. The biggest mistake that the Congress made ever was the changing of the corporate laws when they allowed a corporation to become an entity like a living, breathing, corporeal human being. When they did that back in the 70s, I believe it was, I may be wrong on that, when Congress allowed that to happen, that was it. All of a sudden, the company is a person and has rights like a person. But it's not a person. And that's when they started evading all the taxes. Corrupt government has allowed that to happen. And why would the government of the United States of America allow us to be tariffed by other people and our products? Because they get what's called kickbacks. Oh, they don't get a kickback. It's not in the night in a Motel 6 with an FBI sting going on. No, what it is, the money goes into special accounts like the Clinton Foundation, which is a tax write-off. What do you think Uranium One was all about? Tariffs are really easy to understand. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to you. It's not a level playing ground. And President Trump is the first president in my lifetime who has really addressed that and said, you know something? Screw you. I won't sell you baseballs anymore. Forget it. You tariff us, I'm going to tariff the hell out of you. And you know something? You know what happens? The bullying stops. The umbilical cord is cut. The piggy bank has no more money in it. And what happens is they want our baseballs. And they don't want to pay. Instead of $2 a baseball, $30 a baseball. And so they drop their tariff. And we drop ours. And now there's an even level playing ground. If your baseballs are better that you make in Canada, right on. If my baseballs are better, right on. The best baseballs win. We got to stop supporting the world with being taxed like this. And watch the jobs come back. Because once the corporations realize that they can make just as much money being at home, they're going to open up plants. They're not going to close the plants down they already opened up. Don't live in an illusion. But they're going to open up plants here. Because there's money to be made. Right on, President Trump. Tariff wars, bring them on. We'll see who wins. The United States of America will win. Because so goes this country, so goes the world. The Jesse T Show right here every Monday through Friday from 5 to 6. Good to have you along. Share it out. We're now podcasting and archiving it on YouTube Live. That's right, YouTube Jesse Terrero channel. Check it out there. Also on Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. On Instagram. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining up. Lots of loves and likes. I really appreciate that, guys. Really appreciate. Spread the word about the Jesse T Show. We need your help and always are just very, very flattered that you watch the show every day, and I appreciate that a bunch. Hey, tomorrow we are going to be catching the vibe on the California political scene. Well, actually, it's Congress, because we're going to find out if anybody can beat Tony Cardenas. You know Tony, he's the one that got in trouble. The one that got in trouble recently with that 16-year-old girl on the golf course. Oh, you forgot about that. Bernie Banal's checking in, and then on Thursday we are going to be out and about as well. We got El Chicano and Jerry Salas, the lead singer and guitarist, going to be checking in here on the Jesse T Show. Hey, look for us tonight. We're heading out to a red carpet. Going to be live back on the Facebook, and we're going to some Brazilian dancing on Thursday. Good times, man. The Brown Beauty's off duty. See ya! Boom, baby.
I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome to the Legends Community Show right here on thepowerofvoices.com. I'm your host, Greg Bell. And guys, like every week, we come in with a lot of sports talk. And of course, after last weekend, there's going to be a whole lot of sports talk when you're talking about NBA. Of course, we're talking about the King, LeBron James, LBJ. So much is going to be talked about, you know, the